Hi everybody, this is Cat Coloring, and today I'm going to be looking at my Arteza Triangular Grip coloring pencils. I bought these a few years ago from Amazon in the United States, and that's because you can't buy Arteza in Europe. I haven't found any places where you can buy them in Europe, and you certainly can't buy them in Denmark, where I live. So I had to buy them from Amazon. And I bought this set. It was on sale, so I saved a little bit of money. That's always nice when you are buying coloring supplies and coloring books. And this is 48 coloring pencils in this round box. And when I remove them, you can see all the colors here. I've only used some of them once, so they are practically new, all of them. They are triangular, and you can see here, nice to hold. Some would say ergonomic. And this one, tomato red. You can see that the color of the pencil practically matches the color of the core of this pencil. You have a number 2, A201, and then the name of the color. So it's easy to see what color the pencils are. Not comparing to the Staedtler Ergosoft, which is quite difficult. But when you look at all these colors, you can see that there are some inconsistencies. This one, for example, this is A227. It's lavender, and you can see that the paint on the pencil is quite light, almost a very pale lilac. But when you look at the core, you can see it's quite dark. So these are the sort of coloring pencils that you can't just look at the color of the pencil and then think, oh, this is just a light color. You have to look at the core to see what color the pencil really gives you. Another example is this one. This one is A232. It's called Sage Green. And when I look at it, it doesn't look green. Neither the paint here on the pencil nor the core here. It actually looks more of a grayish color, and also the core. But if I color with it, I have a paper here, and I just color with it, the color also looks a bit grayish, but it's certainly not the color of the paint here on the pencil. It's very different. So these pencils will have to be swatched. And swatching just means that I'm going to make a color chart. I couldn't find a color chart of these particular pencils online, so I made my own in Word. And I have already written all of the colors down here with the numbers and the names. And now I'm going to swatch them, which means that I'm just going to color with the pencils here. I'm going to push hard in the beginning to see what it looks like when you burnish with the color, and then I'm going to ease the pressure so that I can see what the color looks like if I want to blend it, how much color I'm going to be using when I'm blending. So I'm going to swatch now, and I'm going to do so to music. Let's get going. So now that I have swatched the colors, you can see them here on this color chart. You can see Arteza 48 colored pencils. There are not many yellows. There are some orange, only a couple of reds. We have a wine red here. It's very dark. And then we have some purples and pinks. I think that the pinks, crimson, red, and plum purple, it's very difficult to see a difference. I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit more reddish here than this one, the crimson red, compared to the plum purple, but they are very even in the coloring. You can clearly see the difference between the punch pink and the peony pink. They have some blues and a lot of greens. The greens go from the forest green to the lime green, so a lot of lighter green colors here and some of the darker here. And you can see here clearly the sage green I talked about earlier, that when you swatch it, it kind of looks like the elephant gray, just a bit darker. It's very difficult to see the green in this one. So I am having doubts about how I'm going to use this color, quite frankly. But I will think of something, I guess. And then we have some browns here, a cocoa brown and dark chocolate brown, very dark. We also have a rust red, and I've placed the rust red here instead of with the reds because I think it's a great red brownish color. Of course, the burnt ochre and the ginger was actually darker in the color than the camel brown because the way the pencils were painted with the color, the camel brown was darker in the color than the ginger. And then the black is called noir. I don't know why they call the black noir. It's French and means, well, black. I don't know why they just don't write black here. But as you can see, I pressed hard in the right side of this color chart, then I eased the pressure, and then I only had a light pressure in the left side of these swatching the colors. So you can see how the color reacts if you try to burnish or you try to add layers, how a light layer would look and a more pressured layer would look. So now I'm going to test them and I'm going to see how they blend, and I am going to use the Witch's Cottage by Hanna Karlzon, and obviously not this page, but I'm going to use this page because it's quite simple, and I just want to put some papers behind it, and then I want to choose some colors to color this flower. And I think I want to go with some purples and pinks, or I could go with the oranges and yellow and red. Perhaps that's more fitting for a Witch's Cottage book. So I have chosen these colors, the turmeric yellow and also the pumpkin orange, the vermilion and the orange, and the tomato red, and also the true red. So here goes. Feels quite smooth when you color with them. And I think I want some orange from the bottom up. It's very easy, even though I have layered with the yellow, to add some orange here. I don't have to press very hard. It's more easy than I thought. I think it needs a bit more yellow at the top. And the leaves, I think that these are the petals. I think that these petals are going to be red here. So the true red first, and then we add some tomato red. Never had color pencils where some of the pencils are named after food, cocoa, chocolate, tomato. And I think the vermilion. I think there's also some difference between the colors from the different brands. I think that this vermilion is a bit darker than the one I use from the Prismacolors. So I'm not burnishing anything, I'm just layering a bit. I think that I need some true red here. And here. And then also some tomato red here. They're quite easy to work with, I must say. And I think that I want to take the true red and begin these larger petals. Just to add some darker red, I'm just going to put a thin layer on it and some of the tomato red. And you can see that it's very light, so I don't use a lot of pressure, just a light pressure. I think I want to layer this flower. It's really nice to work with these. I have a good grip on them, and they're very, very easy to work with. Much easier than the Airsoft, I must say, and perhaps also a bit more easy than Polychromos. I must say. Not as easy as Prismacolor, but almost, I think. The Vermilion. And then the pumpkin orange. I must say that it's the pumpkin orange, the pencil is quite light, but the core is dark. And the orange, that was not the orange, this orange is actually darker in the pencil, but lighter, a bit lighter in the core. I'm glad that I swatched them out, because I think it's much more easy to see the color truly with the colors swatched out than just looking at the pencils. It's actually quite distracting to look at the colors of the pencils if you just look at the paint instead of the core, and the core isn't very large, so it's much easier to decide color when you look at it like this. But again, you can see how easy and smooth this layering goes. That was the orange, not the pumpkin orange, but the orange here. I think that I will go with the pumpkin orange here. And just to give you an idea, the turmeric yellow here. So that's how I'm going to layer it. I think that I will color the rest to of the flower to music, and then we will see the result when I stop layering and burnish the flower. Now I have finished coloring the petals, and I hope that you could see some of the coloring. I had to change the light on my desk lamp. It was too bright at a point. But you can see here that these color pencils from Arteza, they have a lot of color. Really a nice coloring and a nice shine to them, you can see. So I'm a very big fan of these with regards to the coloring. They were easy to work with as long as I blended and layered with a light to medium pressure. But as soon as I tried to burnish at the end, it was difficult to put enough pressure on to burnish it. You can see here with the red, I'm still not satisfied with that because the white of the paper shines through. It was difficult to add enough pressure. I was worried that the tip might crack and break. I also sharpened my pencils, and this one, the true red, it kept cracking and breaking. So I had to switch to another sharpener than the one I usually use to sharpen these pencils with. So the core is not as strong as I would have thought. So it can crack and break. And that's why I was afraid to press too hard with the pencils when I burnished it. I think that to get a more satisfactory result, I would have to use a burnisher pencil. This is from Derwent. I haven't used it yet. But if you use this one, I think that the result would be more satisfying, and you would not risk breaking the tip of your pencil. So the conclusion must be that the Arteza 48 set, the Triangular Grip, are easy to work with as long as you don't press too hard with them, because then they might crack and break. They add a lot of color to the paper. I think that this paper in the Witch's Tales from the Witch's Cottage is very good to work in with these pencils. And also I added the cocoa brown with some shadows here, and if I had used the Staedtler Ergosoft, it would have been difficult to add shadow when I have burnished with those color pencils, because the layer would be too hard and I couldn't add anything. But with these Arteza, it was more easy to add some shadow here and there after I had burnished. Not as easy as with the Prismacolor. You can compare the coloring here. This is colored with Prismacolor, and this is with Arteza. I think that with the Arteza, if you use a burnisher pencil to burnish it right, the result would be almost the same as this one, but not quite. I think that the Prismacolors, because they are so soft, they are easier to work with when you burnish with them and to add shadow after you have burnished with them. The Artezas are not quite as good as the Prismacolors regarding to the burnishing and the shadow layering after the burnishing. But I think that this color is quite stunning, and the color really, well, pops off the page. Dare I say it? I think it pops off the page. So I am a fan of these Arteza, I must say. And now I will just color the rest of the flower, and then I will show you the result at the end of the video. So as you can see now, I have finished the coloring, and you can see here with the flower that nothing of the white from the paper shines through. I used the Derwent burnisher, and it worked very, very good with this flower. I also colored the stem and the leaves and the bow, and the stem and the leaves were colored with a dark color, a middle color, and a light color. So I used the jungle green for the dark color, the moss green for the middle color, and for creating some highlights I used the lime green. For the bow I used the wine red and the true red, and then of course the tomato red for the lighter parts of the bow. And I used a little bit of the cocoa brown to create some shadows here in the stem and the leaves, and I used just a little bit of the noir or black to create some shadows around the bow here. Then I decided to switch colors. I decided to use my watercolor pencils for the background and the mirror. I think this is a mirror. It looks like a mirror. And I used these watercolor pencils from Facer-Castell in the red tin box. And there's also a brush. So I just colored the background black, and then I used the brush to add water and sort of smudge it out, blend it a bit. And for the mirror I used the gray at the edges of the mirror and then the white for the middle, and then I just a lightly layer, and then I blended it with water and added a little bit of black for the shadows in the flower. And for the mirror I used the turmeric yellow and some brighter parts, the lemon yellow in the middle. And then I used my brand new Posca pen straw yellow to color some of the dots here. And I used my Posca pen gold to color the rest of this mirror, to add some gold. Originally I had thought about adding some stars in the background, but then I thought it wasn't necessary. And that's it. I must say that I'm very, very pleased with the Artezas. As I said before, they blend very, very easily. The only problem is that they don't quite burnish the way I want them to burnish on the paper, and I have to use this Derwent burnisher to get the colors quite right at the end of the coloring. They are also very good at adding a little bit of shadows on top of the areas I have already burnished. Not quite as good as the Prismacolors, but almost as good. So this ended up being a review of the Arteza 48, and I must say that I can recommend buying them if you can afford it. They are very, very good to work with when you are coloring. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching this review of the Arteza 48 colored pencils, Triangular Grip. Remember, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Happy coloring. Bye.